Hi everyone, this is Christy. I call myself the Skeptic Medium, and I call myself that because I'm skeptical about many things. So today I'm going to touch on the subject of good and evil, as well as the concept of heaven and hell. I'm going to start with good and evil. In the spirit world, they don't like to refer to it as good and evil. Actually, they prefer to refer to it as soul-enhancing or soul-damaging behavior. Let me talk about that first. And that is, first, do no harm. So when we are doing something that is deliberately harmful, I'm talking here about deliberately hurting people or finding joy in hurting and damaging others, we are moving towards soul-damaging behavior. And this is what we would call evil here on earth. When we are moving towards being kind, being good, we are moving towards soul-enhancing behavior. With regards to hurting other people, we are all going to do that. We are going to accidentally or incidentally harm other people. This is through our love relationships. We're going to break each other's hearts. We're going to have fights. We're going to disagree on politics. We're going to disagree on religion. And we're going to hurt each other through this. These are not considered deliberate and are not considered sinful, but part of our growing experience. I will talk more about the concepts of what is considered, as we call it here, sinful, and what is considered evil and what is considered good. It's very different in the spirit world to what we might suppose here on earth, and I will do another video at a later time to talk about that, which probably will surprise some of the people watching this video. But for now, I'm going to go on and talk about the concept of heaven and hell. Do they really exist? To some degree they do. There is something like this that we could call is heaven and hell, but not in the way that we are taught in the concepts that we find in religion here on earth. Let me talk about somebody that is involved with, say, sexual abuse towards a child, and that they derive pleasure out of this, and that went ahead with it even though they knew that they were harming these children. So what happens to a soul like this when they reach the other side? This is the way that Spirit shows me, that is to my understanding the best way that they can explain it. And how they explain it to me is that a soul like that is immediately arrested when they arrive on the other side. This wouldn't be brutal like we know here on earth. Everything in the spirit world is done with love and order. So you could liken what's happening them to be arrested. They are not allowed to move into the normal places of existence in the spirit world. They are taken instead to a place of solitude, and this is a place where they contemplate what they have done and how much it has damaged other people. They are not overseen here by brutal and harsh guards. They are overseen by loving beings who are well trained in this. Every step is taken towards trying to rehabilitate and heal a soul to get them to understand what they have done. If they do learn these things, they will then be allowed to be put into what you could call the general population of the spirit world. The spirit world is divided into a whole lot of sections as well. We don't all exist with each other in the spirit world, but that's also going to be discussed at a future time. So this is where a soul will go. This could be called hell. It's not nearly as bad as we think it is here. However, there is a punishment. And what I've been shown about the punishment of people who have done things like this is that part of the process is that they will need to experience and feel the very pain that they caused to those that they inflicted upon. So they don't get away with their crimes. They will have to know the pain that they have done to others. And this is not only the pain they did to the person, but the ramifications and the ripple effect on other people around them that this has happened to. So, for example, if you were abused as a child, we all know that the chances are that you may go on and abuse yourself. And so it goes back to the original person who started this terrible cycle, who will take on the ramifications of the generations afterwards, who will continue in that terrible process. And so we want to try to stop that cycle if we are stuck in it. That would certainly be a soul-enhancing activity. I would like to remind people that the spirit world is logical and ordered. If it doesn't make sense, it is not true. I want to refer to the judgment system that we have here in South Africa even. It's not a perfect system, it was developed by men. But there is an understanding that you don't punish a person for a petty crime in the same way that you punish a murderer. The same applies there. It is logical and reasonable that you are not going to be put into a dungeon for all eternity if, say, for example, you were a pretty good person, but you were a terrible wife or husband. You're not going to be punished because of that. But what will happen is that there is a judgment. There is a judgment for every soul. And this is a time where we reflect on the life that we lived, and we consider it against the plan that we set out for ourselves, what we plan to achieve. And so everybody's judgment is so very personal and individual to them. Their whole life path is individual. One person may have decided that they want to come to earth to learn how to make money and be successful. They may not be spiritual at all, but that's the goal they set out to achieve. Another decided that they want to learn a musical instrument and become a maestro in it. Perhaps they were religious, but that was their plan. And so you'll be judged against whatever it is that you wanted to achieve in your lifetime. I have been shown that you are also involved in your judgment. You are a part of it. And you are accepting of where you went wrong and where you went right, and take responsibility for where you went wrong and try to do better. Well, I believe very strongly that we existed before we came here, and we will continue to exist after we have been here. This I take almost as an assumption that other people know, but I know that this is not something that everybody knows. Before we decided to come here to Earth, we set out a plan. We studied hard for this. We studied knowing that we would have a closed book exam. In other words, that our memory of everything that we learned in the spirit world will be lost. But there are glimpses of it as we go through our life. And hopefully we studied hard enough in the spirit world that things that we needed to do on our path would almost be automatic. The idea that you need to be giving, perhaps hopefully if you studied hard enough, will be something that you will do automatically. But hopefully you also learn the wisdom of not giving everything away and draining yourself completely. And so these could be almost, you could call reflexes, because you have studied so well and prepared before you came here. So in the end of our lives, basically we are going over the exam. How did we do? Where did we go wrong? And what did we do right? And depending on how we did, we may really have failed terribly, or we may really have done very well. I need to say that this has nothing to do with a person's religious affiliations. This is about the person themselves, the journey they took, them knowing what they were taught, what was right and wrong, and acting based on what was right and wrong. So that gives you a brief outline of heaven and hell, good and evil. But there will be more to come on this subject. Please find me on Facebook and on YouTube. I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel, The Skeptic Medium. My name is Christy. Chat soon.